Yo, yo, yo.
Very good at what he does out there. So
huge right hand and an early knockdown from simultaneously.
Brandon Royval.
And he comes in with the knee, and it's over. That's it. Royval has knocked him out with the knee.
Brandon Royval has an exciting fighting style due to his ability to knock out his opponents on the feet and his strong submission game on the mat. He had a successful stint in LFA that culminated in earning the promotion's Flyweight Championship. But after going 3-2 in the UFC's Flyweight division, I began to wonder whether Royval has the skills to eventually contend for a UFC Championship. Is Brandon Royval a pure brawler or a technical mauler? Hello everyone, and welcome back to Mixed Martial Arts, your #1 channel for MMA and comic book related content. We're back with another Focal Fighter video, and today we'll analyze Brandon Raw Dog Royval's career to this point and find some clues about his true potential. Royval is a pretty funny guy as is reflected in his nickname, but he's also a highly entertaining fighter. But is he just an exciting fighter, or does he also have the skills to become a UFC champion? Before I give my thoughts, I want to hear from you. Comment down below how far you think Brandon Royval can go in his MMA career, and we can start a conversation in the comments section. But now, let's get into the video. Royval began his amateur MMA career in 2011 when he was 19 years old. He went 5-0 as an amateur with multiple stoppage wins in less than a year. Then he began his pro career in 2012 at the age of 20. Royval's first professional MMA fight was a 140-pound catchweight bout versus Sam Rind. Royval landed a nice head kick early on in the fight. Brandon's fighting style was exciting and fan-friendly right from the start of his career. After dropping his opponent with a knee, he used his elbows in an onslaught of ground and pound. The strikes were effective, and Royval won the fight by first-round TKO. Royval made his bantamweight debut just 2 months later. He never had the opportunity to get his offense going in this fight, as he was consistently taken down and controlled on the ground. Although Royval threatened with a few submission attempts, none of them were successful. Royval lost the fight via unanimous decision. After nearly 2 years away from professional competition, Royval returned as a 22-year-old against Joey Welch. Royval secured a triangle choke, and Welch tapped out less than a minute into the fight. It was a quick outing for Royval that got him back on the winning track. Royval then took a second hiatus from competition, this time for a year and a half. He returned as a 23-year-old and earned the opportunity to fight in the World Series of Fighting in 2016, which is now known as the PFL. His opponent was Danny Maness. Royval looked great on the feet, and he dropped Maness with a hook early on. Royval continued pressuring his opponent and landed the knockout strike midway through the first round. This win improved Royval's record to 3-1. Royval returned 2 months later in a fight with Combate Americas.
In the bantamweight division,
Royval was being pieced up on the feet in this fight through the first 2 rounds. Royval did have some good moments too though, and he showed his heart by coming back and winning the 3rd round on one judge's scorecard. This remains one of the most exciting fights in Royval's career so far. But Royval lost this match by unanimous decision. Royval made his flyweight debut in his next fight, and he got put on his back quickly, but immediately got to work by threatening his opponent with a triangle choke. And Royval had to eat some hard hammer fists from this position, but he committed to the triangle choke by just eating the ground and pound coming his way. It was a good call, because his opponent tapped out, and so Royval got the submission win from this position. All he needed was 34 seconds. With a record of 4-2, Brandon Royval was signed by LFA and had his promotional debut at LFA 5. This fight quickly hit the ground, but Royval was actively looking for submissions and finished the fight with an armbar in round 1. It was a strong start to his LFA run. Royval returned at LFA 10 against Nick Urso. Urso used his wrestling to force Royval to fight off of his back for most of this fight, and Royval was constantly threatening with submission attempts. but he wasn't able to tie up any submissions, and Urso won the fight by split decision. Royval fought next at LFA 22 against Demetrius Wilson. Royval was getting taken down in this fight too, but his bottom game was effective, and Wilson tapped out due to a triangle choke in round 2. Brandon's next fight took place at LFA 39 against Jerome Rivera. This contest had an unfortunate ending, as Rivera suffered a nasty arm injury in round 1, so Royval got the win by TKO. After this win, he fought against Charles Johnson at LFA 48. This was a strong outing for Royval, and his striking looked very good. Brandon won the fight by unanimous decision and improved his pro record to 8-3. He was riding a 3-fight win streak, and LFA took notice. Royval was awarded with an interim flyweight title fight against current UFC bantamweight Kenney. The fight was competitive on the feet to start, until Royval got dropped, and Kenney clearly had the more effective wrestling and ground control in this fight. He managed to consistently land takedowns, maintain control of Royval on the ground for the majority of the bout, and neutralize all of Royval's submission threats. Kenney seized the interim flyweight title with a unanimous decision win over Brandon Royval. But Royval remained as motivated as ever. He returned at LFA 65 against Joby Sanchez. Royval used his slick jiu-jitsu to get the win off of his back in this fight with an armbar in round 1. It was a great performance by Brandon that pushed him right back into title contention. LFA was impressed with his performance, and they called on him to fight for the vacant LFA Flyweight title. His opponent was Nate Williams. Royval only needed 23 seconds to secure an armbar and win the LFA Championship. Then Royval got the call from the UFC, and he debuted with the promotion on May 30th, 2020 against Tim Elliott. Royval landed some good strikes on the feet, and eventually gained a dominant position on the ground in round 2.
Get fixed in a solid position.
Arm triangle.
Look at this, and that's deep. Doing the right thing, he's grabbing the leg, that's going to release the pressure.
Oh, there's a tap from
There
Elliott.
it is.
Welcome to the UFC, Brandon Royval.
Royval had a strong start to his UFC run and earned a Fight of the Night bonus for his performance. Brandon's next fight took place at UFC 253 against Kai Kara-France. This fight started with a bang as Kai Kara-France dropped Royval, and then Royval nearly finished Kai Kara-France immediately after with one of his signature spinning elbows. Royval continued by landing a spinning back fist later on in the first round, and then he dropped Kai Kara-France with a knee shortly after. Then Royval got a guillotine choke, and that was all he needed to finish the fight. This was the biggest win of Royval's career to that point, and he had started his UFC run by beating 2 top 10 contenders back to back.
Popping out. He's popping out. Oh, he's readjusting his feet. He got it! Oh, Brandon Royval submits Kai Kara-France!
This win brought Brandon Royval right into the title picture just 2 fights into his UFC run. Royval improved his record to 12-4 and earned another Fight of the Night bonus for the show he put on against Kai Kara-France. Royval returned 2 months later to face the number 1 contender Brandon Moreno, who is a very tough opponent and now the former UFC Flyweight Champion. Moreno was winning this fight, although it was fairly competitive. But Royval's good fortune in the UFC came to an end as he dislocated his shoulder in the first round and lost by TKO. As for Brandon Moreno, he would go on to face Deiveson Figueiredo 3 times immediately after this fight, which saw Moreno win the title in the rematch and then lose it in the trilogy at UFC 270. Meanwhile, Brandon Royval required surgery and he was out of competition for 9 months. He returned against Alexandre Pantoja in August 2021. But Royval had another tough outing as Pantoja got this fight to the ground and managed to submit Brandon Royval in the second round. Pantoja is a tough opponent who could get a shot at the flyweight title in the future, yet this was a tough loss for Royval nonetheless that put him on a 2-fight losing streak. After taking the remainder of 2021 off, Royval returned on January 15, 2022 against Rogério Bontorin. This was a back-and-forth fight that had Royval and Bontorin entering the third round tied up with 1 round apiece. Then Royval got to work with his jiu-jitsu in round 3 and caught Bontorin in an armbar. This was a controversial moment because Bontorin appeared to tap one time, but perhaps it wasn't enough to stop the fight and the ref didn't step in. Yet Royval still managed to win the fight by split decision on the judges' scorecards. Now Royval holds a UFC record of 3-2 and an overall professional record of 13-6. So is Brandon Royval a brawler or a mauler? Brandon Royval will be the first one to claim he is a brawler.
A little bit of myself is an emotional brawler. A little bit of myself is a creative striker.
He's even introduced as a brawler before his UFC appearances.
A brawler, Brandon Royval!
While brawling is a great style that is very fan-friendly, I believe that Royval has the potential to become a dominant mauler in the octagon. His UFC record may be slightly misleading. He's only fought top 10 opponents in his UFC run, which makes his 3-2 UFC record far more impressive than it seems. His UFC matchups to this point include fights with a former title challenger, a former champion, the number 3 ranked flyweight contender, and a fighter who is scheduled for a very important fight that is likely a title eliminator bout. And since Brandon Royval is currently tied for the number 4 spot in the UFC rankings, he can definitely work his way up to a title shot with just a couple more victories. Now, if Royval were to improve his wrestling, he could likely dominate much of the flyweight division, and perhaps even win the Flyweight Championship. His takedown defense only has a 39% success rate according to the UFC. If Royval develops his wrestling further, he could dictate where his fights take place. This would be a phenomenal addition to Royval's skill set, as it could prevent him from fighting off of his back so frequently. Plus, Royval's striking is already great, which leads many of his opponents to go for takedowns. An improved ability to defend these takedowns would be a massive benefit. By the same token, if Royval improved his wrestling offense, this could allow him to gain dominant position on the ground more often to put his exceptional jiu-jitsu skills to good use from the top position. We saw Royval have success from the top position in round 3 of his fight with Rogério Bontorin. If Royval could gain top position more frequently, he'd likely have even more success in the octagon. Nonetheless, if Royval continues getting taken down from time to time, he still has high-level jiu-jitsu from his back that can certainly force any opponent to tap out. If Royval were to add improved wrestling abilities to his already impressive skill set, I believe he could become the UFC's Flyweight Champion. Now I want to hear what you guys think. Do you classify Brandon Royval as a brawler or a mauler? Do you think an improved wrestling arsenal could allow Royval to win a UFC championship? And what's your favorite fight from Raw Dawg's career so far? Let me know in the comment section below. I can't wait to hear your thoughts, so that we can start having a conversation. But if you want more frequent Mixed Martial Arts updates, then follow the link in the description to my Twitter page and follow me on there. Hit the like button on this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel for more MMA content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.